Mike Giardi, Boston Sports Journal. I heard Christian Arcand last night talking about Choose Your Own Adventure books, and I loved those. So let's go Choose Your Own Adventure interview. Do you want a question about Bad Bunny, Drake Maye, or Mike Vrabel?
Drake Maye.
Is Drake Maye a legitimate MVP candidate, and do you believe he will still be in the conversation come the end of the season?
So I forget who did the research on this, but I remember listening to a podcast recently where they were like, you don't get the MVP in the last, 10 years or so, unless you're a first or second seed and you're talking about 12 or 13 wins, like bare minimum. So if you can tell me that the Patriots are going to get to 12-5, 13-4, win the division and end up with a 1 or 2 seed, and then he would be playing the way he is right now. So then, yes, he would be. I don't know that that's necessarily how it's going to play out. And it feels like 10 or 11 wins isn't going to be enough the way the league has done this thing the last, decade.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do with Mike? I'm going to give him a little challenge here. We did power rankings of all the different Pats phases: run defense, pass offense, special team. There's 6 categories. I'll just in coaching. So just give me the top 3. How would you power rank? Like, what are the top phases? Is it coaching? Is it run defense? Is it passing offense, special teams? How would you rank like the phases of the Pats so far this season, Mike?
I would say passing offense has been elite. I would say coaching, especially in the last few weeks, it feels like they've really stabilized, especially, defense hasn't been great, but stabilized that area.
Yep.
Run defense would be 3 for me, I think, because basically having a lot of running back over 50 yards this season, a single running back. So I think that's been massive, especially the way I looked at that, Ted, where, Barmore dropped 15, 20 pounds. Milt Williams is probably not 300 pounds. He was like, they're going to be a little light on the interior, but they've actually held up. So those would be my top 3.
It's weird. Like the run defense, I thought was going to be a weakness, and the passing offense, I didn't think would be as good with the receivers they had. So it's kind of flipped upside down. It feels a little bit this year, Mike.
But I don't think there's any question. And then meanwhile, right, run offense would be dead last.
Yeah.
And I would have told you.
Yeah.
I would have bet some money on the fact that they would have a good running offense from week 1, and that hasn't happened at all.
Well, maybe Sunday will be a good chance to get the running offense on track, but I think we've said that so many Sundays in a row that now we're starting to sound like we have a bad habit, Mike. Regarding intel on the Titans, I know on your podcast this week you had a chance to talk to Buck Reesing, who covers the Titans for A to Z Sports, and he had that fun little bite. Everyone calls Vrabel a jerk, but from being down there. But what else did you glean from the Titans situation? Because all I can tell and all I can hear so far is that it's just beyond the mess that everyone thinks it is down there.
Yeah, rudderless. The owner, when she fired Mike, she spoke to the team broadcaster for 4 minutes and 56 seconds, and that was the only media she did on the firing of the coach. She left Rand Carthon to handle that business, and now here she trots out Chad Brinker, who's like team president and the GM, to do their thing. And again, Brinker was basically representing her. No one really knows who's in charge there, but there are a lot of people that have say in what happens. But at the end, as they call her, Miss Amy jumps in all, like just out of the blue, guns a-blazing, and just fires people. I don't think anyone in the building thought that Brian Callahan was getting fired this week. And certainly after he made it past Monday, no one thought he was going to get fired that week. And then, boom, she decides on Tuesday he's out. So they had to scramble. People weren't even sure, like, if they had a plan in place. It was just like, no, you're going to fire Brian Callahan. And then, you're going to have to figure out who's next.
You think maybe a likely candidate would have been his dad, right? It was the offensive line coach.
Bill? Yeah.
Bill Callahan. But he went with his son. So
loyalty.
Yeah.
Blood is thicker than paychecks.
Mike, I actually heard a little story earlier today that there was serious doubt about Brian Callahan's overall football knowledge. That earlier this year there was a pass to the rookie tight end out of Texas, so I like Gunnar Helm, and he got his elbow in. He didn't get 2 feet in. It was ruled out of bounds, and Callahan didn't challenge it afterwards. And he didn't know the rule that 1 elbow equals 2 feet in the NFL.
He doubled down on it in the press conference afterwards, basically kind of accusing the media of being stupid. And it turns out that him and his version of John Stryker, whoever that is in Tennessee, that guy didn't know the rule either. Ugh. So if you're going to hire someone to be your eyes up above and to have, listen, like that, you've got to have an incredible knowledge of the rule book because, as you know, there's many different versions of different things. Like that's what that guy's supposed to do, and that guy didn't have it, and Brian didn't have it, and together they look like idiots. And now together, they're going to be paid to go away, but they've gone away.
Mike Giardi, Boston Sports Journal, here on WEEI Afternoons on a Patriots Friday. Mike, a couple questions about the injury report. Stephon Diggs, questionable. Is that something I should be concerned about? And Harold Landry.
I don't think so. I mean, we talked to Diggs this week, pretty animated. He went out to practice each day. I think this is more about, I'm not saying there's not an injury there, but it just feels like more about he's a veteran. He knows how to get ready for a game. So we'll manage this thing 100%. Landry's was a little bit more concerning because you saw the play in the Saints where, they're listing it as an ankle, but it looked like it would be both ankle and knee, the way he got hit by friendly fire there. So, I think it would take a lot for him not to play against his old team, who told a lot of people, myself included, that he had no juice left and that it was diminishing returns on the contract, which is why they let him go. And, he slowed down a little bit after his fast start, but he's still been value add for the Patriots.
Okay, Michael, got to ask you a question we asked TC earlier in the week, and that is, can this offense sustain the high level of play without a running game? You got Drake Maye that's just kind of feels like he's lifting everyone up around him, but the running game is the worst in the NFL, and you just wonder, can they keep this thing going? Do you feel like this offense can still, score points and move the ball even though the running game is non-existent?
Well, Ted, they're going to get some good tests, at least if you look at defenses on paper. Atlanta's is really good. We know Tampa's a good team. Maybe their defense isn't, the secondary is not great, but like a good defensive line they can get after a little bit. So they're gonna face some challenges in that regard. And I just think for as good as it's been, and I'm not saying you can't maintain a level of 20-plus points per game. They're hovering around 25 now, but it feels to me like you just need a little bit. Like, it doesn't even have to be a lot. At this point, like, I'd sell for the 22nd or 23rd best rushing attack in football. They're dead last. And, as it's been pointed out here over the last couple of weeks, it's not one thing. It's one play, it's the running back. One play, it's the left guard. One play, it's the center doesn't get to the second level. One play, it's the right guard doesn't get to the one play, it's the left tackle blows a block. Like, it's Stephon Diggs had 2 run stuffs in the last game for bad blocks. The tight ends aren't great blockers. So it's like, I don't know if they necessarily have the personnel to be good at it now that we've seen it for 6 weeks, but I still don't feel like it should be that bad. So, the more they practice it, maybe the more coordinated it becomes and maybe the little bit more effective it can be. And I think that would be a huge boost for the group in general, just to kind of take a little bit off. Not that he hasn't been able to handle it, but just take a little off the quarterback.
We've been told that the Patriots are not serious contenders or suitors for a number of players who could go at the trade deadline, which is coming up in 2.5 weeks. So, Mike, do you have your eyes on any players Sunday as you watch Week 7 in the NFL, just in case the Patriots do decide to, futz around, find out themselves that they're going to be first seed overall in the AFC and maybe make a trade within the next 2 weeks?
I'll tell you what, the way you started with futz there, I thought I was coming out dirty. I didn't know what was going to happen there.
One of my favorite words.
Breece Hall is one that I definitely, and you got to wonder whether the Jets would trade him in the division or whether or not they would ask for maybe a higher price than they would accept for someone else. But he's back to being good again. So he would be someone that if you felt like, clearly they need another back, guys, whether that's a really good back or just a serviceable NFL back, they need someone because they're kind of in a position of weakness now where both of your guys are underperforming. They didn't trust Terrell Jennings last week to get any, carries. So it's like, what happens if something goes with Henderson or Stevenson? Then you're really in trouble. So you don't want to be in that position. So it's almost like strike sooner rather than later to kind of avoid that. So I'd look at him. I'd look at something like Jerome Ford in Cleveland. Again, not a world beater. He was pretty good a couple of years ago, but they pretty much they have turned it over to the 2 rookie backs, Sampson and Quinshon Judkins. So you could probably pry him for a day 3 pick, 5th, 6th round type thing. That makes a lot of sense to give yourself an accomplished professional NFL back that could at least give you some security at that position. If not, maybe unseat one of the guys in front of him.
Mike, according to an email I got this morning, in terms of spread, the Patriots are the smart bet in terms of both money and tickets placed. Is there any chance those are bad bets? Is that how this plays out, that the Patriots just go down there and cover in Tennessee?
You always wonder about the interim coach and if you get that dead cat bounce, from that. And I don't think that Tennessee has been – let's put it this way. generally it's been awful, but there have been some moments that they've splashed in there. I think their defense is pretty well accomplished in some positions. Jeffrey Simmons is you saw what he did last year. He absolutely ruined the game for the Patriots and probably ruined Layden Robinson's career in the process. So, there are some things that you have to be careful at, but the place is going to be relatively dead. Buck was saying they didn't even have anybody for basically the home opener, and that was Cam Ward's debut. That's how their fans feel about this. So, bring your own energy in this game, but in the end, you should be able to take care of a team. Mike McCoy hasn't coached in the freaking league. He was gone for 5-6 years before he took the senior assistant job. I don't know. It just feels like if you bring any kind of effort in this game, you should cover.
All right, Mike, appreciate you joining us, and congratulations on recording the best podcast you've ever had this morning.
Oh, way to go, bud.
I'm glad you enjoyed that. Good luck with the downloads, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Mike.
Oh, your phone cut out.
Wow.
He was going to have a snarky retort, and his phone cut out.
Were you a
That's
guest
real
on
shit.
his podcast? Okay, I was wondering.
That was the second Giardi Hart combo of the day.